To Gaza now, where the Israeli military has killed at least 13 Palestinians since dawn across the Strip. Israeli forces struck a home in the al-Zawayda area in central Gaza, killing at least 8 people and injuring others. 3 other Palestinians were killed in 2 separate attacks there. Let's go live to our correspondent, Tareq Azzoum. He's joining us from Deir el-Balah in central Gaza. Tareq, more deadly airstrikes on people's homes and refugee and displacement camps.
Yeah, that's right, Elizabeth. That is the reality every morning and every minute in the Strip, where bombardment and airstrikes do not witness any sort of let up till now. What we do know exactly, Elizabeth, regarding the overnight strikes is that the Israeli army and the fighter jets have targeted a residential house in al-Nusayrat refugee camp, where at least 8 Palestinians have been reported killed. But surprisingly, there's a very notable surge of Israeli attacks on that very densely populated camp, which is right now hosting thousands of Palestinian families in that corner of the Strip. Now, we are talking about a mosque also was targeted in that camp. At least 2 Palestinians were killed. Another residential flat was hit without any casualties being reported. But the grim reality is that we are talking about a very dramatic surge of attacks on evacuation centers that are run by the United Nations, and that's absolutely a very devastating and had a broad negative impact on the safety of those civilians. They were told by the military to go there in order to get their own safety, but what we do know from sources is that at least 6 schools were targeted during the past 10 days, and this number is unprecedented in a very particular part of the Strip since the beginning of the conflict. We're talking about dozens of families have been right now become without shelter, and dozens of Palestinians, in fact, were killed, and we are talking about plenty of injuries arrived to the Al-Aqsa hospital in order to get treatment resulted from the Israeli attacks on that corner of the Strip. But obviously, Elizabeth, it seems that Israel is mounting more pressure in areas where people recently started to take as an evacuation center. They'd like to get benefits from that within the negotiations that are still ongoing in Cairo and Doha between Hamas and Israel in order to reach to a ceasefire deal. But what we do know is that the Israeli Prime Minister and also military officials and the Israeli army said that if this round of negotiations will come to an end without reaching for a ceasefire or deal with Hamas, it means that there is going to be a more expansion of the fighting to reach these densely populated areas.
All right, Tareq, so that's the latest on the attacks across the Strip. We're also hearing just in the last half an hour or so that a number of Palestinians who were held prisoners by Israel, have been released. And I hear that they've actually been arriving at the hospital behind you, Al-Aqsa Hospital in Deir al-Balah. What are you seeing?
Yeah, that's quite right. As you can clearly see at the background, the families of those Palestinian captives who have been released today came in order to check on their beloved ones who have been away from them for more than 5 months. Some of them we really have spoken to. They were in a very miserable conditions due to the high intensity of torture they were witnessing in the Israeli jails. But they have been also very exhausted because they are suffering from a very clear malnutrition due to the very bad quality food being provided for them in Israeli jails. And we're talking about 16 Palestinian captives and prisoners being released today only, and right now they are getting medical check inside Al-Aqsa hospital in order to make sure that they are medically stable. But obviously what we do know from them is that some of them did not know where they were in the Israeli detention camps. They do not know the area that they were arrested in, specifically that due to the wide-scale aggressive procedures being taken by the authorities of prisons in the Israeli territories. And basically, those Palestinians are absolutely have been exhausted, and at the same time, they are trying to take more time to recover with different signs on the hands for being handcuffed, and they're with different signs also of torture on their backs, chests, and even legs due to the very unprecedented, difficult periods that they witness in the Israeli jails. But basically, this is the reality for every single Palestinian who is getting out from the Israeli jails. They have been saying that it was incredibly a miracle for them to get out from there alive, as they are also saying that there are still hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and captives behind the Israeli bars, are witnessing the worst kind ever of a treatment by the Israeli army.
Tareq, thank you very much for that. That is Tareq Abu Azzoum with all the latest live in Deir el-Balah in central Gaza.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.